Well, today, more people left, and then some other ones showed up. Patsy Burgers. I emailed FBI headquarters, asked them, do their agents usually emotionally hold people hostage? That they call them liars when they're trying to give a statement and bully them into saying that they're lying under a threat of arrest. Do they usually tell someone that they'll protect them and then say, if you tell someone unless you're crazy and no one can help you, and emotionally hold them hostage? So they have to stay quiet till they die and for one of their family members. Ask them that. Yeah. With that agent telling Paymer, and it was confirmed by a Stark County sheriff, the one that looks like Ludic, okay, could be his kid. He showed up in his Stark County sheriff uniform and his squad car. That's why Portage didn't know who he was. He's Stark. Well, from Kim. I lived in Portage County. Should have went to Akron. You know, with Will being friend / relative of Michelle, the FBI couldn't even work a case against me in my life. Why? It's conflict of interest. Would have to go to the marshals. And the police up there can't work a case against me in my life either, because it's a retired judge, his family. Even Officer Reinhardt Louisville said that. It's a conflict of interest. That whole county couldn't say a word to you in your whole life. To go to jail. They get thrown out for that. It's 1 to 10 years. You know, we live in the United States of America. I watched this one show and they were watching this agent get sworn in. It's just a regular show. And watching what their oath is. They swear to protect the Constitution with their own lives. The right to privacy, right to remain quiet, right to a fair court trial, bail and bond, the right not to be mistreated, the freedom of speech. They swear over, and there's a lot more rights, that they will uphold them for every U.S. citizen from domestic or foreign terrorism. And I'll tell you what, I was watching this thing on the news. There's a prosecutor, the Department of Justice, the FBI infiltrated a drug gang, sent 6 informants feeding them back. I have a feeling they made a mistake and went in their homes. Because when they go in their homes, it's a right of privacy. Because they said they're yelling entrapment. Police, you don't want them to do that. Police and agencies can only be in a home under a threat of life. They have to speak to everyone before they start, of knowing of the threat in their life. You can tell them you don't want their help. You're a U.S. citizen. It's private property. You don't have a right to be there. Okay? You have to ask for help. The other person has to have knowledge of the threat on your life. Otherwise, they can't be in your home. It's right, all those rights. Yeah. Otherwise, it's abuse and misconduct, and failure to protect is abuse and misconduct. It goes into the right of privacy, illegal search and seizure. It's 5 years. And for every constitutional right broke, it's 1 to 10. Conflict of interest for friends and family, 1 to 10. And up to $1 million fine. And then there's stalking charges, drugs, kidnapping. And what these people did, and that agent going and telling the night before, because they called and explained Michelle, because they're either family / friends. The FBI can't even work a case against me. It had to went to the marshals. The police up there can't, because it's a judge's family. See what I mean? Even Officer Reinhardt Louisville, that whole county couldn't say a word of your life because there's a judge involved. Well, neither can the FBI. because it's one of their family / friends. See what I mean? You can't work cases. And even the guys that watch me, this is why you can't work a case with a conflict of interest. So people can't break in your door, date rape, drug you, stalk you, and then photoshopping a shower scene to make you look weird. It's just asinine. I was talking to this new employee at work, and she was telling me how she had been raped and had her son. And she said, it's the weirdest thing. I don't remember him touching me. And I looked at somebody and said, I can't be pregnant. I've not had sex. And she said, and they said, oh, come on. She's like, I haven't had sex. There was a night I went out drinking, and I woke up in a puddle of pee. And I was sick and I was messed up. But that's all I remember. And she said they didn't believe her. She said, and then I got these weird memories that aren't attached to anything. I'm like, oh my God. I said, honey, you're a rookie. I said, my ex-husband's girlfriend and her friends were doing that. And I told them how they kicked in my door and were watching me. She looked at me and said, Karen, you don't realize you're beautiful. I looked at her. She said, you don't realize you're really beautiful. And I just looked at her because I think I'm ugly. And she's like, you don't understand. You're really beautiful. For that girl friend to kick in your door and watch you, she was infatuated with you. I said, well, they said she was watching. She showed up at Faith Family Church and said she was watching me on the toilet, go to the bathroom, and everything else. And the showers in the room is just asinine. And I said, that's a mean teenage thing. She said, Karen, she was watching the bathroom because she's fascinated with you. She said, because that's not normal. She's infatuated with you. That's why she watched you. She said, otherwise she wouldn't care. Here's the thing, huh? They kicked in my door. They photoshopped shower scenes a minute too. We all know they did. Okay? And then the date rape drugs line, they had sodium pentothal reports. And I told her, I said, I have weird memories that aren't attached to. I said, I heard two voices outside my apartment, and it felt like my back welted up, and it ripped open, and I was wailing as loud as I could in my head, of ah, ah, as loud as I could, screaming in horror. And I had to sit there and go, breathe, 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 and calm myself down. As I calmed down and went down, that they're gone, they're gone, they're gone, they're gone, they're gone. I said, I don't know who those voices belong to. It's weird. I heard their voices outside, and it triggered that response. But I remember hearing their voice. I don't know who they are. She said, I've got memories like that, and they're not attached to anything else. I said, it's part of being roofied. What happens, and I showed her where on the internet, what date rape drugs are injectable, like the ketamine, Rofinol, Profanol. It takes 60 seconds from the time they inject you. And you just have a mark. She said, like, I had bruises too. And she's like, how did you feel afterwards? It's like, I felt dizzy, nauseous. I couldn't keep anything down. I said it was horrible. I showed her how much picture of my big fat face and then how thin I was. And within a few months. And she said, she's like, you can tell how much weight you lost. I said, I couldn't even keep saliva down. She's like, that's how I was. She said, I was laying in bed all messed up. She said, I got up and washed my blankets. She said, I woke up in a puddle of pee. She said, I'm a grown woman, as if I'd pee myself. She said, my one family member said, you never know, you could have been on the border of death for you to pee yourself like that. Her telling what they were doing. Well, she ended up pregnant, and nobody would listen. When she found out she was pregnant, she didn't even know she had been raped that night. She just woke up and peeing sick and messed up. She said she talked to some of the people that were there and said that she was talking crazy and saying all kinds of stuff. She said, I don't remember talking crazy. She said, I don't remember anything but waking up in a puddle of pee and having marks on me. She said, it's not that I don't love my son, but I have no idea of conceiving. She said, and I tried to tell people that and they didn't believe me. They said you were talking crazy, and I told her about my neighbor Mike, how they roofied him in the bar. He went out to eat, went to the bank, drove around, and didn't know how he got out of the bar. He didn't know he told everybody he was an astronaut. Had to go back to the bar 5 months later for them to watch the surveillance inside the bar from talking crazy. It's not funny to date rape somebody. She said I told her about that memory of screaming, but it doesn't make any sense. And she said she has weird flashbacks of that. What happens when you're roofied? Your conscious goes down. You're sleepwalking. Your subconscious comes up. I said, you ever see somebody sleepwalking and they look at you and they answer you and they're just not quite right? I said, that's what you're doing. And because your conscious did not make a memory of it, you can't remember. But the real traumatic in your subconscious is pulling it back up when things trigger. And it doesn't make sense because there's no real memory with it. You just that emotion of being hurt. It's not funny to do that to human beings. She's raising a child out of that. But yeah, we sat and we talked about things, and she's like, those people need to go to jail for what they did to you. They do. 100%. And just because Will was an FBI agent related or / friend to them, he couldn't even touch my case. Matter of fact, the FBI couldn't even work a case against me. It's a conflict of interest for friends and family. And him listing me an informant and leaving me up there to die, he had no intent to help me. That's why he called me a liar, badgered me to say I was lying under a threat of arrest when I tried to report Dave. I should have hung up and called the hotline. He would have been arrested right away. He lost his badge that day. Actually, he lost his badge the night before when I went up to Paymer and told on me. And that officer already verified and witnessed he didn't tell on him for doing it. Because it was his family member or friend. The FBI can't even work a case against me in my life. Its conflict of interest is 1 to 10. There's a prosecutor they said on the news, going to be going through files of people being mistreated. If they were smart, they'd give me my money for being an informant. I like a medical card too. And then I just like, well, I'll probably still be in the area, but just not right here. People already come up to me, no one's to ever say a word to her again. Monday, I was out with my day hub. Some guy pulled in and said those mothers were spoke to, and they had no idea what these people were talking about. They never said a word. It was just the people hurting her. That's what they said. Camp Police said, April 14, 22, 2 lady investigators. That they talked about the guy going to Paymer was a stunt for Dave to confront me in the truck, and that they had my kids badmouth me, and my kids didn't know anything about it, and that it's just been the people hurting me the whole time. That's where that guy said it. It really is just the people hurting her the whole time. I was stopped by my son Danny's and talking to his wife, and I told him about what happened with Krista, how she was watching me and following me, how they lie to people have charges. So I said, she's watching me. I said, I don't have time for stupid. I really don't. And I told her, and And I said, she walked by me like 4 times with my day up. I said, when she's out by the van and I've got 9 people I'm taking care of at one time, there's just me. We're on an outing and it's just me. I said, everybody in the one side, because the other side don't open. I walked around and they were all loaded up. I looked at her. I said, hi. She walks up to me. I thought, I'm going to take care of this. Then we did the how you been? And I said, well, it's been rough. Da 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 da. Oh, you'll be found out. I was like, I've already been found out. I say, people aren't processing. They're saying the girlfriend's family kicked in my door and was watching me for the girlfriend. That victimized me. They date rape drugged me. Lied they had sodium pentothal. It's attempted murder. They victimized me again and kidnapped me. They are saying they put a shower scene in the other room, in their stocking tapes, being asinine, and would try to store money out of it. That's victimizing me. The only thing they can do is put them in jail. It's like I already been found innocent years ago. And I said, I told her about my med cert, my passing FBI background checks, da 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 da. She looked sick, and then Michelle showed up later, November 8th, 4 o'clock. My car was bugged from the case, so was my phone, which they do need to realize their Pegasus, or I think that's what it was called, technology of listening through phones, cell phones. It can be hacked. They've been using it on mine for 4 years, and they can sell it. So what you paid for the technology, you might want to address it with a can. Yeah. So Michelle showed up November 8th, 22, 4 o'clock. My car was bugged, my phone's bugged. That's how they heard in Burlington Coat Factory of them admitting to drugging me and telling me to say it before. And then all the other places, okay? November 8th, 22, 4 o'clock, shows up and says, Krista called me and none of this is funny, da da da. All the tapes before were there's the people helping us. No one should ever say a word. She's right. None of this is funny. And all these people just helped us get everything afterwards. And the ones before were just the people helping us get everything before. None of this is funny. It was all them. Okay? Told you. Well, the weekend I stopped seeing my son Danny and Jen. She's like, and then my son Danny and his wife Jen, grandkids. So they're talking. Tell her about what happened. She's like, Karen, anybody that would even believe anything bad on you, she said they would need a lot of shorts because a lot of people's pants would be on fire. As if. Okay? And I told her what happened. I said, I call them the Pinocchio group, the liar, liar, pants on fire, and the wham, wham, wham group. She's like, I got somebody lying on me at work. And da, da, da. And I said, I'm tired of it. And and my son's like, well, you still have your CCW. I said, well, of course I do. I said, I even got my med certs, and I told him what grade I got. And I showed it to him. I told him I do home health care. I said, you can't even have an accusation. She said, well, of course not. You're working with a handicap. She said, who would ever believe you did anything wrong? Just think of my other kids and grandkids. Yeah. They all spoke highly of me in 18. All this was wiped out. And they've even said it in front of people. What are these people talking about? We interviewed her whole family a long time ago. She's never heard anybody. June 23rd to July 4th of 21. Look around. Over a year ago. They start saying it in 18 and 19. The other ones got giggling and stating they were making everything up for Auntie Sean Papa to get the house. And our games over 10. A protector like case. It's found innocent of everything. In 18. This is just Michelle's sick, psychotic family. That she's infatuated with me, and to the point she has to watch me, her and her sick family. This mentally ill stuff. You talk about fatal attraction shit. It's ungodly. And for them to watch me in the shower, the bathroom, the toilet, because Dave is dating and their daughter. You don't get quarters to watch somebody. Even my one friend from the prosecutor's office, no judge would write a court order to watch somebody. They'd write their own arrest warrant. And no police is going to say they were in my home either. Because I confronted the Portage County Sheriffs. They had no idea what these people are saying, though it's illegal. It is. It's federal prison. See, where they're just making, see, in their sick mind, they can kick in their door. They can set up button cameras stalking you. You won't know they're there because they're button cameras. They can break in and stab you with an amnesia drug. And you'll just wake up sick and not know what happened to you because you won't have a conscious memory. I told you, even to, like that poor woman that had a child, didn't even know she got pregnant. No. You have no memory. That's why they call them date rape drugs. Like she said, then I got weird memories that aren't attached to anything. And feel. And she said it's awful. It's because the subconscious is trying to, the extreme horror. But your mind can't process it because you didn't make a permanent memory. It's horrible. But, yeah, sorry. It's a lot. My horror has been public knowledge. And like they said, everybody knows what's going on but our family. I almost died to save my family. And what that agent did with bullying me, with me telling, when I tried to tell Dave what happened at Huntington Bank, and he called me a liar. You confess your lie and I'll arrest you. You either say you're a liar and I'll put you in jail. I'm like, what? He said, I said, say it. And he started yelling at me. He threatened to put me in jail again. So he said it. They laughed at me like a hyena. That's badgering. It's bullying somebody into a false statement. No course confession is admissible. Department of Justice is 1729. And then there's laws if you do it and someone gets hurt because of your action, and you get more charges. And if somebody, you know somebody or you took a payoff, you did it for them, there's more charges. Yeah. And then it is badgering still. You tell, I'll protect you, but if you tell someone, I'll list you crazy, and no one can, you don't have that kind of authority. And that's still bullying and badgering, and that's emotionally holding somebody hostage. It's just like in Huntington Bank, when that guy came up behind me, I knife you right here now if it wasn't for that security guard. And that lady's like, you're going to go ahead and knife her? He said, I can't risk it. That security guard's right there. And I turn my car and I go and do the thing. I am open the cap. And pizza Hut lady came over. I'm getting paid to watch her. And the banker's like, lady, stay out of it. She's like, no, I get paid to watch her. And she's laying her head down on the desk. He's like, lady, I mean, it won't be worth it. And I'm looking at her. And you don't know if they have somebody waiting to just walk up and stab you and walk out. You don't know if they have a gun pointed at your head. But they know, they want you to know they're around you. It's emotionally holding you hostage. It's like somebody saying, we got your family, we're going to kill you. Now you go in there and you hand that bank teller this note and you rob that bank, or we're going to do it. Are you really robbing the bank? Well, yeah, you are, kind of. But you're not doing it of your own free will. You're doing it under a threat of life. And that's them holding you hostage. And it's just like they were holding me hostage to stay quiet, so they killed me. That agent was emotionally holding me hostage of, there's threats on your life. Now there's threats on your children's life. And if you tell someone, no one will help you. And I'll list you crazy and I'll have blah, blah, blah. No one. He didn't have that kind of authority. Matter of fact, he broke law after law after law. And with him knowing these people, the FBI couldn't even work a case against me. That one prosecutor, because it's in the news right now, he's going after, Department of Justice is going after them for putting 6 informants inside a drug hotel. If they went into their homes, it's a right to privacy. See, that's where it has to be like businesses and stuff. Police and agencies can only be in a home under threat of life, and they have to speak to it. It is entrapment. They're going to get prosecuted for it. See, it's the right to privacy within your home. That's why that officer had to talk to Dave for carrying around the house state case, protected home custody for an informant. I'm supposed to be in protected custody. These officers that watch me are not just to watch and verify who's hurting me. They're actually supposed to come running. Otherwise, they couldn't be in my home. It's private property. They can even be places you're at. Nothing. You have a right to privacy. Protected home custody. That's the only time they can be there. Like I said, that one prosecutor, there's a prosecutor going after him in Department of Justice for that drug hotel. And they're yelling entrapment. Those agents will go to jail for hiring them. They could have sent their people in undercover, but they sent civilians. And they went into people's private homes. They could have had those people witness against them, write out a statement, got them the hell out of there. Right? But the other, no. It's entrapment. That's where you can't, yeah. It's private homes. Now, as a civilian, you can sit and talk to some type of conversation, da 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 da. But the whole thing of it is, you can't. But see, then you gotta watch. Because where I was date raped, they're supposed to have conversations I don't know of. See, you don't know what happened to that person to have them say it. See, my tapes actually come from Carrying Around the House. They're the same thing the police have in the main database and the FBI. Mine's are not altered. And where they said they erased people out of the rooms on theirs and stuff like that. See what I mean? That's why it becomes... my tapes are legal. Mine are the same thing the police have from the Protected Life case. Goes into Protected Home Custody cases. And since these people are so advanced, they hacked into it and sold it. It's public knowledge. My one grandson, Daniel, I seen his teacher at the gas station. She waved over at him. He went back and he got in the vehicle while I was pumping gas. And she said, she looked over and she said, you know, it's something. Everybody knows what's going on about her family. I was laughing with this other lady. They do. And I wish somebody would look at him and say, you know, your dad actually tried to kill your mom. It's public knowledge. And she almost died to save your life. Everybody knows that, but you guys. Because they were talking about in Rapika's office, some girls from the case. She almost died to save everybody. And they don't even know it. Maybe they should. And these people need to go to jail. And people need to start realizing, when I go out away from here, people are like, no one's to ever say a word to her again. It really is just the people hurting her. And her those mothers didn't even know anything about it. Well, of course not. You know why they didn't know? Because if they said they knew, oh yeah, we were part of kicking in Karen's door, stalking her with Michelle. Oh, we were part of the people that drugged and kidnapped her. It's called life in federal. They know nothing. See, in these people's psychotic world, they can kick in your door. They can date rape drug you. They can Photoshop scenes. They can enter in the court system. File charges against you. Award people money. And you've never even been questioned. And you just have a bruise. Is that nuts? That they could do all this behind your back? See, they're mental. That's not the legal system. That's their psychotic world they created within their heads. You know, I was talking to that girl at work. She said, you know, that little 20-year-old something girl, she's probably doing somebody else, and your ex is the next victim. I said, I know. He's not smart enough. She just wants all that life insurance policy. Now, otherwise she wouldn't have messed with him. None of these people would have. And the one retired sheriff I talked to, you know, he thinks they're mafia doing it. I said, no, it's a retired judge and a FBI agent that he was friends with. And he said it doesn't matter if it's just them. They should have went to jail. They go to jail all the time for committing crimes. They're not above the law. And so does everybody else. I said, they're laughing at the law. They haven't arrested me. He said, I bet they are laughing. He said, as much as they've got away with, I bet they are. The Department of Justice is supposed to be going through cases of people being mistreated. Landmark one here. We're already prosecuting the other ones.